Welcome to episode 24. Thanks for watching, and you're going to notice pretty soon that the audio in the podcast is not up to our usual standards. You're going to be hearing the room audio that's off the cameras because we had a failure for some reason on the mixing board, but it was such a good episode, we're going to let it go and deal with it. Here it comes.
Yeah, we're rolling. What's up, dudes?
What's happening?
This is it, baby.
Man, this is all that needs to be happening.
Yeah. So, if anybody wants to know how hot it is in West Texas, tell us about your day at work, Tim.
It was 105 in the brew house today. All day.
So he was just saying he's not going to hang out after because you gotta go out at night when it's cool enough.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm going to hang out for a bit, but it's just so hot right now that we have figured out this summer that the glycol system that we bought to cool all the vessels isn't powerful enough. So we have another one on order, which hopefully will be here the end of this week or early next week. Right now, we're just having trouble keeping everything crashed. Like we can hit our fermentation temperatures fine, but crashing everything is a problem right now because 105 degrees in the brew house, 105 degrees outside, 110 degrees outside. So. Yeah, not to get you too bored in the minutia of my beer brewing existence, but yeah, today was a really good brew day, but it was a bit of a struggle with temperature control, being a direct fire brewery.
I don't work in a brewery area, but I have just shop work. So
you work in a shop, so you know.
Yeah, it was just miserable all day.
I can't imagine.
Yeah,
It's just bad enough, especially this chemo that I'm on is really messes you up with heat, and it just sucks to walk down the mailbox.
Well, I messed myself up worse than usual though, because somehow or another Cliff and I took this annual motorcycle trip to New Mexico last year.
You guys got to go to Tim Kreitz Adventures because you have the California trip and the New Mexico
trip. Yeah, and we had a great time, but the last day of the trip I got myself dehydrated, and I'm one of those people who I can't be in direct sunlight for extended periods of time. It makes me sick. It's like a little kind of a sunstroke thing. Yeah. It's just a little weird condition I've got where I just have to be very careful about how long I stay in direct sunlight. I can be completely covered up and be outside all day. Anyway, I got a little sunstroke or a little dehydration or something, and am just now getting over it, and so I celebrated that by, suffering in the brew house all day.
That's a miserable.
It was fun. I got to make beer though, so it was all totally worth it. So
cool. Well, that's good. So my big announcement now, the paperwork is done. I am retiring at the end of the month.
Congratulations, man!
I actually have something for you. I know you hate it, and you know what? You just got to deal with it.
Okay. I'll hate on all of you.
He got you a cardboard box.
Well, part of it was in the box for these groovy little apples.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Those little Egyptian dates. Nice.
What are those, Mike?
Manzanitas is pronouncing that wrong, but they are Egyptian dates, is what I was told.
They're really good.
Little apples.
Yeah.
They taste like something from another time. They taste like really the past. They taste ancient.
They bring back all childhood memories for me.
Ooh, that's the best right there. I gotta study that.
Yes.
Look at you.
World's fourth best podcast host.
I figured with your new occupation you would need a new glass for
that's
it.
awesome.
Also, I was told that is a British pint glass because I know if it's not from America, then it's probably good for you.
So. Right on. Thank you very much, Mike.
Very thoughtful of you, Mike.
That's cool.
I figured there were at least 3 that were better than you, so I brought you down.
There has to be. Well, 2 of them are here. I had my K-Bear glass at the last episode we did, which actually came from the K-Bear studio from the set in Roslyn, Washington, the set of Northern Exposure, and I was cooking a steak. Things got out of hand when I was shuffling around and broke it. I knocked it off the counter. So Nicole just got me this one. And this is from kbear570.com, which is a streaming version of it. So
nice.
It's kind of done in the spirit of that.
So between that and Mike, you are all good on beer pints.
Thank you very much. That's fantastic. I love it.
Very cool beer pint.
And I got a few things lined up, some part-time work. The whole deal, nothing's really changed with conditioner prognosis. I'm still I got 2-3 years to go, but it's going to be a lot easier to live on the schedule of the treatment without the schedule of work. So getting over treatment, the more I can lay on my ass and drink water and sleep, I can get out of it faster. So I picked up a few things to do. I got plenty going, so I'll stay busy.
Well, good. It's like I said, I told you before, I know this definitely was not the circumstances under which you wanted to retire, but I fully and wholeheartedly congratulate you on a long, successful, productive career.
28 years.
28 years. Very, very proud of you.
21. The first 21 was at the sheriff's office, and then the last one with the DA's office. So everybody's been really cool about it, and I'm gonna miss it. But the cool thing about my career, I'm done with it. It's close the book on it and move on. So I've had a lot of fun, and it's gonna be interesting. So.
Yeah, it'll be an adjustment.
I got up out of bed one morning, fighting through the chemo blues, and got to work. And I'm like, man, I'm done. It's time. And the cool thing about it, I'm eating up leave and all, is now when I'm on a break, I can do stuff. I can enjoy it, and there's plenty of stuff I can do at home to kind of pick up the slack. So, but I appreciate it, guys. And in celebration, we're going to poison ourselves. So the topic here is a couple of things we've meant to do. They're just things that have been kind of scratched in the margins of things I've been wanting to do. We're going to call this episode "The Worst Liquor in the Best Movies." Okay.
I like it.
So we're going to start with the liquor first because I wish my wife could come in and tell the story. As everyone knows, my wife is an amazing mixologist. And she was looking for, I forget what it's called. I think it's actually mezcal. It's fantastic. It's real smoky, real rich, real flavorful stuff. And she went to a local place, and they pitched her this. It's made by hipsters somewhere. And it's a Sotol, which normally Sotol is not bad. I've had some good Sotols. It's like a tequila. It's a cactus juice.
I've heard that good Sotols exist. I haven't personally had one.
I've had some good ones. I had a good one in Mexico, but it's not something, and I'm not a super hard liquor guy anyway.
Me too. Same with me.
Good bourbon, good tequila with the cigar or whatever. Anyway, so they sold her on this stuff, and she brought it home. And this was a little over a year ago, and I was on a really heavy chemo and really sick. I was on a break and felt good. I thought I could actually stand a drink and a cigar. And Tim and Cliff came over. And my wife brought this to us. Now, anytime she brings something to me and my friends, she's throwing it to the hogs because it sucks. And so I brought out glasses, and so you've been around Tim, he's a professional brewer and has, I've never met anyone, these two guys can describe flavors of things better than any two people I've ever known. And so I poured glasses, and Cliff and Tim and I took a drink, and Tim was in the middle of a story. I don't remember what it was, talking about motorcycles or whatever, and he's blah, 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 he tasted it, he goes, "That's the worst liquor I've ever tasted in my life." And he put it down, and that was it. We couldn't, and it continues to get worse.
This is it again?
Same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah. And so Mike, and on his podcast, he tries a lot of crazy stuff. So we took the rest of the bottle to his birthday party, and we all tried it. And the funny part about it is, it's disgusting when you drink it, and it gets worse, and it keeps going, no matter what you eat and drink on top of it. So we're going to all have a snort, and then we're going to move on to the second topic, which is our top 3 movie list. There's some caveats to that, and we'll roll on from there. And Tim is looking at this like he's about to have to.
I'll do it.
Like he's about to have to keystream.
I'll do it for the podcast.
Let me give a brief description of the flavor that one of my friends said. It's like if you take the ashtray juice from the bottom of an ashtray and drink it, and mixed with burning tire.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, if memory serves me correctly, he is not far off in his description. All right, so
There we go.
German style flip top on a
I'm
Mexican bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting flashbacks. I was looking at this thing, and I could feel my heart starting to go. Like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Yeah, Desert Door, and the
I can
reviews
already
on it,
smell it.
Yeah, the reviews on it are fairly good. This was supposed to be a mixer, like a universal mixer, and I couldn't. I mean, kerosene might improve it.
But yeah, you need to mix it with something to make it taste better, like hobo foot sock water or something.
Yeah, it's some pretty dreadful stuff, and so.
Well, you guys know I'm not much of a drinker already. And
Smells like acetone.
To be able to say that this is the drink that I'm gonna have with you guys.
Yeah, I know. So here we go.
Woo! All right, cheers.
I don't even. I can't even.
Okay, do I need to do this all at once, or can I?
All right, and we're done. Oh my God.
Oh, I don't even know how to start with the smell. Somewhere between denatured alcohol, rubber. There's the rubber.
And some sort of nasty tobacco. I get that now. It's like
it's
a
the
nasty
smokiness. Yeah,
a stale pipe tobacco.
that is what happens when you smoke a really good cigar and fall asleep and without brushing your teeth and wake up the next morning. Yeah, that's horrid.
It's
It's coming
yeah,
back.
that liquor should not exist. Wow, Driftwood, Texas. You need to get together as a city council and as a community and make Desert Door take the name of your town off of that bottle. That's the most awful stuff I've ever had in my life.
I couldn't taste it the first time because of the the side effects of the stuff I was on. I could taste it then, and now.
I tell you the worst part about this is I can take that it tastes bad.
Mm-hmm.
What I can't take is that it won't go away.
It covers your mouth in like a film.
It's like the longest finish and the worst aftertaste of any alcohol I've ever had in my life. They're making money off of this. You know how hard it is?
Yeah, it's still being sold.
I mean, I have no problem ringing my own bell, tooting my own horn, saying that we make really good beer at our brewery. And even still, it's hard to make a go of a brewery, even if you're making the best product. It's hard to make money, with a brewery. And these guys are apparently making plenty of money making something that came from the devil's liquor cabinet.
I can't even. Okay. There are plenty of liquors that I just don't really like. Like, I'm not a huge gin guy. There are very few gins that just I won't go for it. I've had tequilas that weren't great, but this isn't even. I don't even understand how it's supposed to be a thing.
I'm over here making faces at you guys, and it's not you. You mostly, but
I don't. It's oily.
It is oily.
Yes.
I think that has something to do with why the flavor won't go away once you taste it. It just lingers forever, and you can't get the taste out of your mouth.
So, it's what it smells like? Okay, right now the taste is 1970s, like pool toy blow up air mattress.
Okay, there's some of
It's
that.
like when you blow
rubbery,
up, when
that
you used to-
rubbery.
when you would blow those up and the
that
taste that would leave in your
that,
mouth.
Yeah, that
it's
rubbery
like
plastic air.
the fresh outgassed carcinogens.
Yeah, the leached chemicals out of the rubbery plastic siding. Oof.
Yeah, and wait till the first. Enjoy your beer as best you can, and
I'm trying.
wait for the first couple of burps to come around. So, yeah, I don't understand. Wow. And it's like you can still see.
Please go away.
Yeah.
Please go away.
Ouch. Okay.
Okay.
So the topic. Oh, that made me nauseous, dude. Seriously. I even took I'm out of the nausea window of the chemo treatment, and I took a pill just for it, and this is like breaking the squelch on that.
Oif.
So here was a topic we were and there are a lot of rules because Mike is a stickler for this kind of thing. All right, so what we're saying is you're assigned to work on an offshore oil platform or on a ship or a weather station in Greenland. You're going to be isolated.
Ice Station Zebra.
Yeah. You're going to be isolated, but not a survival situation. You got some books, maybe a little bit of internet, but you screw up and you only brought one movie. Like, that's it. You brought one DVD. And the question is, for 1 year, what would that movie be?
So we can only watch.
If you're going to watch a movie, it's this movie.
Okay.
That's it.
So you can't, even though you have a little internet, you can't watch movies. This is your movie.
This
for
is
a
it.
year.
This is your movie. Like I say, you're not going to be just, oh, this is my only connection with mankind. It's like maybe a little bit of YouTube, some TV show here and there, but for whatever reason, you want to sit and watch a movie.
Okay.
This is your movie.
All right.
See.
Hold on. Window cleaner. Yeah. It's crap we used to use on airplanes.
Now here's
That's it.
what I kind of debated about whenever you told me this topic. And, I asked about if that was the only thing that we had or if we had, books, paper, that kind of thing. But I also started looking into whether or not you would consider a trilogy of films as one. For example, Back to the Future, Lord of the Rings.
Just one.
Yeah, see, that's what I came down
just
to.
Just one DVD.
Yeah, that's what I.
It's like this. You go, oh, here's my favorite movie. I'm not going to forget that. You put it in with your socks, and your other crate got washed overboard that has everything else in it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of scenario we're talking about. Mike, you want to start us off?
Yep, I guess I can. Okay, so I mentioned that, and then I also started thinking about the movie itself. You wouldn't want to pick a movie that's your favorite.
Right.
Because you're going to watch it.
I'm a mile ahead of you on this.
Yeah,
Keep
okay.
going.
You're going to be watching it and nothing else for a year, and you're going to get burnt out on it. And then you're going to be like, I don't ever want to watch that movie again. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, well, what kind of movie would I want to watch? Do I want to watch something dramatic, or I want to watch a comedy? And then even then, how long a movie do I want to watch? Because if I pick something like Godfather, which is, like a 3-hour movie, you can break that up and make it seem like multiple, but you still have just the same movie.
Okay.
And I'm not going to go on record and saying anything about The Godfather because I don't want to get
It insists upon itself.
Yeah.
It insists upon itself, Lois.
So what I really came down to was a movie. I have to find a movie that I enjoy and that I would watch multiple times, but I wouldn't necessarily watch it every day or every week and to the point where I would get burnt out on it. And the one that I came up with was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Yeah.
I have not.
It's about this one man, his name's Joel, who...
Played by Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, yeah.
What year?
It was...
It's in the 90s.
No, it's 2000s. 2004-ish, I think.
Oh, okay, early 2000s?
Okay.
And it was directed by Michel Gondry, who's a French director, I believe. And it tells a story of this man who falls in love with this woman, Clementine, but they get into arguments, they get into a fight, and ultimately they end up breaking up. And after that breakup, she decides that she wants to erase him from her memory. So she goes to a facility in whatever, it's New York, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And they go in there and erase him from her memory. So he finds out about this, and in order to kind of make up for that whole happening, they're saying, you're not supposed to know about this. They erase her from his memory. And so the entire movie goes in and it jumps all throughout the relationship, and it's showing them all the good moments and all the bad moments of this man trying to erase this woman from his life.
That sounds like one you gotta watch a few times anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I commend you for wanting for that to be your movie, because that movie is so poignant and it's so heart-wrenching in some places. And I haven't seen it since it came out. I was thinking it came out in 99.
No, yeah.
So early 2000s, a few years
2000s.
after that. I haven't seen it since. And here is when a movie had an effect on me that I wasn't sure how to deal with. I don't ever watch it again. And I remember that movie bothered me. Like that movie, it messed with me emotionally, and it was very heart-wrenching, and so I never watched it again. I didn't want to go through that again.
That's what it did to me pretty much. And in the ending of the movie, there's just a really beautiful moment about it. And I don't know if you want me to talk about the ending at all.
No, it's up to you, man.
Yeah, dude, it's 15 years old.
I'm pretty sure we all have a very short time.
Yeah. The ending of the movie is they get back together again, and they're like, let's give this a shot and see if this is something that we can do. And in the original script, it kind of does a time jump, and you see that they've been erasing each other from their lives for like the past 90 years or whatever.
Is this hard to follow? I mean, when you watch it the first time,
it's really not.
Okay.
But there's the actual ending that they use. They're on a beach and they're running together and they're being playful, they're being happy. And then the shot goes back and it plays the exact same shot, only it's faded, and it comes back and does the same shot and it's faded.
Okay.
And it just does that over and over again. And whenever I found this movie, it was pretty close to the actual release date. I never saw it in theaters, and I don't even remember how I found out about it. It was just one of those things I was like, oh, Jim Carrey's in this, Kate Winslet's in this.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take a look at it. And whenever I found it, it kind of hit me at a moment where I was just like, this is kind of exactly the thing I need to watch. And this is exactly the kind of a movie or the filmmaking that I want to be able to do. And so it holds a real important place for me, just with how I think I went moving forward from that moment. And then, like I said, it's not something that I want to sit down and watch every single day because it's not something I can do. But to be able to go in there and whenever there's that moment, it's like I need to watch something. It's always up there on that list of
Okay, and this is when we get to mine. This is a movie that's an event, and that's that kind of went into my thinking. This isn't something that if you're just flipping channels, you see it, you'll stop on it. This is something you set you're going to sit down and watch.
Yeah, like there are movies, Back to the Future or any of the Back to the Futures. If I see any second of that movie, it's like, oh, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to watch all of that because Back to the Future. But this movie is one that, I was like, I'm going to watch this, I'm going to make this, I'm going to set the time aside, I'm going to make this a thing for me, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch this thing.
So
you're going to immerse yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm convinced that Rocky and Grease were government mind control experiments because no man can scroll past Rocky and no woman can scroll past Grease.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Good pick, man. I like that. Now I want to watch it.
It's really good. So.
Cool.
I'm not drinking any more of that.
Yeah, I'm not drinking that either.
I'm going to let it sit, and I'm going to finish maybe I won't. The Band-Aid taste has hit me.
I do want to mention a couple of things about the movie real quick. And one of the things that I really liked in how they did the filming and everything, and a lot of it was all just practical on-set stuff. They didn't use a lot of CG for it. So there's one shot where Jim Carrey's character was walking through an apartment trying to follow Clementine, and she will disappear from one area of the house and go to the other, and that's just her running around the camera and trying to get to the other shots and everything.
Wow.
But one of the cool things that they do is, as his memory is being erased of her, if you look at the background, you'll start seeing signs and cars and people disappear from the frames. So
that's
Okay, so that's kind of Easter eggy. I'm going to ask all of you to smell your glass again and tell me if it's not smelling worse.
I smelled it earlier.
Well,
I'm not
it would make sense that it does because it'll open up.
I mean, it's opening up, it's aerating, it's bleeding off the alcohol, and it's somehow nastier.
It's making me sweat.
That's awful.
I was thinking the same thing, but then I remembered I'm wearing a sweater and it's like 105 outside.
No, that literally it made me break out in a sweat. I'm done with that.
Wow, this is special.
Why did we do that again?
I don't know why we did it so early. I thought we were going to do it at the end.
No, because you really have to. It's a special kind of bad. I mean, anybody can make something that tastes bad, and it's like a bad movie, except just not as devastating. Anybody could make something. You can make a beer that's not great. You can, anybody could do that. You're going to cook a meal that kind of sucks. This is next level suck.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just
It's almost like they made it as a joke. Like, hey, we want to see what kind of hipsters will think this is the best thing ever, and they intentionally made the worst distillate they could possibly
That's
make.
my
It's terrible. Let's put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that I will, and I do it every damn time. And this is the third time I've had it. Is I'll drink it, and I'll go, this is horrible. This is gross. It can't be that bad, and I'll do it again. So
Third time's the charm.
yeah.
Boy. Okay, yeah. Here come the burps. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Just it's gonna keep going. All right, Tim, you're up.
Okay, so mine is the polar opposite of what Mike picked, and for different reasons. Except for the fact, I can't believe you just did that.
I don't even know why you did either.
I cannot believe you just did that.
Oh
Solidarity, right?
Oof,
No,
no.
don't do it. Don't do it, man. I was just
Y'all on your own.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You gonna be all right?
Much in the faces. Hang on. Let me.
My grandmother had a bowl. It was this old plastic bowl.
Ooh. One you're not supposed to put in the microwave.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Old
It was
50s Tupperware.
yeah, it was like a decorative
Okay.
candy dish thing. It was that perfect
I wish I got that one.
50s or 60s green, and it outgassed chemicals for ages. And I just got that. Oh my God, that was stupid. Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder what proof this is. It burns, but it doesn't taste like an alcohol burn.
It's probably-
It's more like a skunk urine.
It's probably
burn
80
or-
proof or lower.
80.
It's 80. Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God. Why would you do that? I mean, not only why would my dumb ass drink it, but oh shit.
Yeah, it has no.
I'm sorry,
purpose in the
Tim.
universe.
So you're a polar opposite of Mike.
Yeah. Okay.
Your pick. Sorry.
Yeah. So but I did have one thing in common with you is that I did not want to pick a movie that I really loved, because if this is the only movie you're going to be able to go to for a year and a half, I figured I want a movie that I respect or admire, but that I don't particularly care about either way, because I'll wear myself out on it. I also wanted a long movie, exactly, so that I could break it up, and I wanted something that had some historical and or pop culture value that I could study, so it could be a film study project. And so I picked the movie, the 1962 or 63 classic, It's a Mad, 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 Mad World.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's really a great film study. It's not a great movie, but it's a great film study because, number one, it's one of the first car chase capers, that was ever filmed. It has every significant star just about of its era in the movie, and the cameos.
Who all's in that one?
Okay, so Spencer Tracy, Jonathan Winters, Buddy Hackett, Sid Caesar, the cameos by Jerry Lewis and Buster Keaton, and the list goes on and on. Ethel Merman has a big role in it. I mean,
Mickey Rooney?
Mickey Rooney is in it. Mickey Rooney and Buddy Hackett, they have one of the funnier sequences in the movie. Some of the best stunt work ever done in a movie is in this film. And I'm talking about all the way across the board. Physical stuntman stunts and airplane stunts. Some of the most kick-ass airplane stunts you've ever seen. Not CG, real crazy-ass seat-of-your-pants flying. Car stunts, you name it. I mean, it's one crazy situation after another. And the slapstick aspect of it is something that I think would keep me entertained. When it comes to physical comedy of any kind, I will watch physical comedy and I will see something and then I'll watch it again later on and I'll see something I didn't see. Mm-hmm. And that's when I start noticing things like the bloopers and the incontinuities in the film.
And that's an interesting thing about that period. That was not, that's when everything was low res.
Yeah.
And it wasn't meant to be rewatched.
Right. It was meant to be seen in the theater on 35 or 70 millimeter, But after that, you weren't supposed to watch it at home in your home theater because home theaters didn't exist. And so there are incontinuities, there are little film gaffes and that sort of thing that you notice watching it over and over again. But I felt like it was culturally significant. It had pop culture importance. It was good film study because it's directed very well. And it was directed by Stanley Kramer, who was not known for his comedies. Am I saying, is it Stanley Kramer?
I think so.
Yeah. If I'm wrong on that, I apologize, but for sure, I may have to look that up. No, it's Stanley Kramer. It's got to be Stanley Kramer. I'm going to end up, somebody's going to be in the comments like, you idiot!
What are you talking about? Well, while you're looking that up, have you mentioned Buster Keaton and then just physical comedy. Have you seen Charlie Chaplin's Limelight?
No,
I haven't.
There's a scene in it at the end with Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton. I think it's like the only time that they were ever on screen together. And the first time I watched it, I was on my couch just laughing hysterically. And I think it's probably one of the funniest 10 minutes that's ever been put on film.
So I'll have some more filler.
Yeah, Stanley Kramer. Thank God I had
While
that
Tim
right.
was looking this up. Burning teeth.
Oh, okay. That's weird.
Right, if you've ever had like your teeth drilled.
Okay, yeah, a little bit of that.
That and my stepfather gave me some Vietnam era Sorel snow boots.
And you thought you couldn't describe flavors.
And this tastes like the inside of those boots smelled at the end of hunting season. You have the rubber and the sock thing. There is.
Yeah,
you always come around to the sock.
It is in. You guys who are, whether you're watching on the YouTube side or just listening on the audio only side, it's impossible for me to articulate the way in which this liquor is permeating a miasma throughout the room. It's inescapable. I bet Nicole in the next room can smell that this stuff is open.
Yeah, it's nauseating, and it's not even a spirit alcohol booze smell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it was not presented to me as such, I would not drink it.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but we can't hear Macy at all. You know, little clicks of her nails on the...
Yeah, she's staying there, like she could smell it coming
Oh,
in the
we
door.
ran her off. Yeah, she
Yeah.
knows something evil is afoot.
Well, yeah, you can. It is permanent. And I'm looking at it's sediment now. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good pick, though.
Well, thanks.
Really good.
Yeah, that is a really
Yeah,
good pick.
it's something that normally would be outside my wheelhouse. But here's another reason I picked it is because even though I've known about this movie basically my whole life, I only got interested in it about a year ago.
That's actually not too far off from when I first watched it.
Right, and so even though it's an old movie, it's still pretty fresh to me. And if I had to sit down and it was my only movie for a year, I wouldn't already be bored with it. If I sat down right now and said, "Oh man, I pick Pulp Fiction," or I pick 2001: A Space Odyssey, or I pick one of my other favorites, North by Northwest, I could have very easily said, or Vertigo. But the thing about it is, I love those movies in my heart. And I don't love It's a Mad, 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 Mad World in my heart. I just think it's a cool movie with a lot to learn from as a piece of filmmaking.
That is good, yeah.
Yeah, so
I
that's...
haven't seen it since college. I gotta watch it again.
Yeah, and it's 2 hours and 40 minutes, I believe. So you could easily sit down, watch 40 minutes, 30 minutes, or 45 minutes, get up, go do something else, come back, watch another 30, 45 minutes. And you could stretch it out. You could watch it in segments because it's such a long movie. Yeah.
Okay, that's... now you're making me want to watch that again.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it too.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so...
Here come the tires.
Yeah. All right. Are you in a good enough physical state with that
I think I
Sotal in
can
your
talk
system?
without gagging. Oh my god. Pure and simple, man. The Big Lebowski.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Now, it is one of my favorite movies, and it's not a movie that if I'm flipping channels and it's on, that I'll sit and watch it if the time's not right. Like you said, you wouldn't pick one of your favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
This is a favorite that I think would fit that bill. And the interesting thing about that movie, what year, 96, 98?
Was 96 or 97?
It was
I wanna say
weird because
97.
it's set late 90s, or I mean, sorry, it was released late 90s, set in early 90s.
Yeah.
That was kind of weird, and for no real reason other than a quote, maybe.
Well, it had to do with the Bush. Yeah, it had to do with the Bush.
This
years.
aggression will not stand.
This
Yeah.
aggression will not
Yeah.
stand, man.
But I remembered seeing it, so I would have been, 27, thereabouts, and I watched it. I probably watched it with my roomie, with Rich Cotty, and I remember we were not wowed.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching it and never came back to it, and didn't come back to it for years. Everyone was like that. Everyone who was in the movie was that way.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone but the Coen brothers. It's like, I don't understand this. Sam Elliott had no idea why he was in the movie. He just read his parts and left. And Steve Buscemi, he had done Fargo with them, and his character was a chatterbox, so they cast him as Donnie, who's not. And he's like, okay, well, whatever, that's cool. He said he had people calling him out by Donnie's full name. He had no idea what they were talking about because he'd seen the movie and he's like, okay, that was all right, and went on. But the more you watch it, the more relevant it becomes.
Yeah.
And I think even that many times. And then there's so much to that movie philosophically
Right.
that it takes a long time to sink in.
It's hard to grasp some of the deeper philosophical concepts when you're watching it as a new movie in your 20s.
Right.
But when you get into your late 30s or your late 40s, where we are now, a lot of the philosophical concepts make a way more sense.
And my wife and I talked about this, and here's one of the fascinating things about it. Everyone in life is a dude, a Walter, or a Donnie. Like almost every.
Or a Jesus.
And yeah,
Just a lot fewer.
Or the Jesus.
Yeah.
But those three personalities, and then when you and you have, everyone has a little bit of each person in them, each character, and then you change the people. You take one person out, and you take Tim, and Tim leaves, and someone else comes in and sits down. It changes that dynamic between them. So there's that. There's a lot of the movie that it's completely pointless. Jesus is absolutely pointless. Jesus, they call him the Jesus, but that character doesn't really serve much purpose.
I don't know about that, man. I might.
I mean, respective of the plot.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Jackie Treehorn making an appearance has absolutely nothing to do with the plot. It serves no purpose other than to kick in a couple of lines. As far as the plot goes, if you were just telling the story and you were an editor, you would cut it out.
Okay.
And then you get into the Easter eggs, the conspiracy theories, and all the weirdness that just inspire conversation. What's the date on the check?
Mm-hmm.
When he writes the 69-cent check, when you zoom in on it, September 11th. Yeah, that's the first one. There's a theory that Donnie is an alter ego of Walter and doesn't really exist. That's why he's always telling him to shut up, And so all of those things just kind of get into it. There's always, you watch it and there's always a conversation. There's always something out of it. Now, and then it has the slapstick comedy. It has all of those things, and the timing and the dialogue and all that. And a lot of that was they were ad-libbed, second, third, fourths, that they said, okay, just do it this way. And it's amazing. And it's a movie that I will sit down and watch beginning to end every time.
It has always struck me as being some kind of a parable, but a very, very esoteric parable.
Right.
And I'll take it that I love that movie too. I love the Coen brothers can basically do no wrong as far as I'm concerned. Now, I certainly have other movies that I put way higher in the Coen brothers echelon than Big Lebowski, but I really, really like the Big Lebowski. And I think that what you saw was, with that film, you saw sort of a shift in how the Coen brothers made movies. If you go back into the 80s and look at some of the stuff they did between the mid 80s and the mid 90s, that it wasn't the tone of the Big Lebowski.
Right.
But they took the sort of parable slash multi-level humor slash comedy is tragedy parts that they developed in Big Lebowski, and they carried that into later films, like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Right.
So, and maybe they are conscious of that, maybe they aren't. You know, they're a lot like Quentin Tarantino or even me and my personal philosophies. You know, I said in my podcast about a year ago on the top 5 biker movies of all time that I did, what I considered the top 5 biker movies of all time. Whatever you want a movie to mean to you, that's what it means.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of art. It means whatever you want it to mean, and however it touches you. That's the beauty of individuals as human beings, and it's the beauty of how art touches us. So it's interesting to hear your thoughts on that,
Well,
and how you've interpreted it.
It's a movie you can watch in parts. There are parts of that movie you will go watch a specific part of it. It actually spawned a religion. When you talk about a cult following, it actually started, well, and it's a tongue-in-cheek kind of a joke, but the Church of the Latter-day Dude, they call it Dudism. And for, I think, $20 you can become an ordained Dudist priest. But
Dudist
yeah,
priest.
but the philosophy in it, there are little things. It's one of those that somebody who's a fan that you meet up with. First of all, it's one of those movies that if you like that movie, you know that movie, we can probably hang out.
Yeah.
Right. It's one of those where if you I've never seen that, I watch the Kardashians, and you're like, okay, well, I hope we don't get stuck in a car together. The little things. The dude never rolls. Not once does the dude ever throw a bowling ball when he's at a bowling alley the whole time. Why the hell did they do that? There's a reason for that.
Sure, yeah. What is
it? Yeah.
Because it takes effort to do that, and the dude is not about effort.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny, everybody, you see all these quotes about Special Kind of Stupid and all that, with Sam Elliott.
All the memes.
The memes, yeah. And I wonder if any of those people have seen the movie.
They just like Sam Elliott in a cowboy hat. Most of them have no idea what that's from.
No idea. And like I said, Sam Elliott didn't even know why he was in that movie, but they add so much to it. And everybody delivered, every actor in that delivered something amazing. It was one of those things that everybody was perfect. Everything about it was perfect, even though some of it has absolutely no meaning. So
interesting. Okay, that's a good pick.
Yeah, it is a good pick.
Yeah. So notable mentions. What were the movies that you guys fought with? Like, because if you guys were like me, you had like 3 or 5 movies where you're going, which one do I pick here?
3 or 4, amateur over here. Inside Llewyn Davis was one that I struggled with. That was Coen's.
That I have never seen.
It's great.
Okay, I'll put that on my to-do list.
It's probably my favorite of the Coens.
Okay. Let me mention one to you that's, it's the first major Coen Brothers film. Have you ever seen Blood Simple?
I haven't seen that.
Okay, that one you need to see. So we have some homework to do. That's their first major release, and a lot of it was filmed right out here in West Texas. Okay. Yeah. So if you will remember back in the day, the old drive-in out on 80 that preceded the newer drive-in.
It was a lumberyard billboard still, right?
I think it is still a lumberyard billboard out there. It's behind that new apartment complex. Well, they shoot there. You can see in 1984, 1983, 84. It was the Texan drive-in. They shoot that. It's in their typical opening, kind of cold open. They've opened a lot of movies with cold openings with narration. Blood Simple is one of them, and it's the private detective who's kind of the quasi, not really the center of the story, but it's kind of some of it's told from his perspective, doing a narration. So there's a lot of West Texas in it. It was filmed in the Austin area and in the West Texas area. So most of it was filmed in Texas. So it's neat for that reason alone. And it's also Frances McDormand's. It's one of her first big movies. I think it's where they may have initially hooked up and decided to get married and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah, I do have homework to do. It's been a long time since I've seen that.
Yeah, Blood Simple's a great movie. So we could do a podcast just on Coen Brothers movies.
We could.
So that would be very.
That's a good one. That is good.
I have a couple of other honorable mentions. I don't know if we want to go around.
No, go ahead.
Don't.
The Royal Tenenbaums of Wes Anderson.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that in forever.
And then I also thought about, I briefly considered Jurassic Park just because it's one of my favorites, and I started thinking about it. Mm-hmm. And also Three Amigos, just because it's one of my favorites.
Three Amigos, that would really be a good one.
Yeah,
my sister and I will randomly call or text my sister and just say a random line from that movie, and she'll send me back just, word for word, just the script and everything for it. We know, we've seen that movie so many times, and we know that movie so well that that's just a joke between us that we'll go off and do Three Amigos.
Jurassic Park's amazing. You mentioned that. That was a movie that just never really wowed me, except for but the more I see it, the more it's like that, and it's become one of them that I can't pass.
Well, whenever Jurassic Park, I remember going to the theater, and it was '93 going to Jurassic Park. It was actually the theater here in Midland, the one that got turned into a dress shop.
Oh yeah.
And I remember watching that and just being like, oh my god, this is awesome. There's dinosaurs and everything, and ever since it's just been, Jurassic Park and everything for it. So
cool, very cool.
But those were my big picks that I was kind of struggling with, and then as I was kind of whittling everything away, just kind of trying to narrow it down. Mm-hmm. Eternal Sunshine just started like, well, what about this one? Eternal Sunshine, and I was like, oh, hang on a second, because that's really something.
Yeah. So my honorable mentions are a couple of them. I thought about History of the World Part 1.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes.
Because that one also there's a lot going on there to consider. Also, even though I've seen it an untold number of times, I haven't seen it in a very long time. So that would be a good one to go back and revisit after not having seen it for 10 years or something like that. Just to go back and sort of re-remember it and re-study it and that sort of thing. Interesting thing about that film was that how they used the backdrops. A lot of the backdrop scenery was actually physical paintings.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And the paintings are so good that you don't know it. That's how masterful the paintings are for the backdrops. And so, so there's other things to study, just besides the storyline and how it's shot. The effects itself. A lot of the visual effects were very innovative for the time, considering the technology. That was another one. And then I also thought about Monty Python and the Holy Grail very briefly. But that is a movie that I have memorized. I have seen it so many times, and I love it so much. Mm-hmm. I basically have the entire film memorized. And Britt will tell you all about it, that you don't want to sit down and try to watch that movie with me. Because it becomes a recital for me. It's like reciting Masonic Esoterica. Yeah, I just start spitting it out. So anyway, that was a couple of mine. So
the Holy Grail was on my list, and the same reason. I mean, I haven't memorized it, but that humor that's one. And that's another one of those movies. If they like that movie, they're cool. Yeah. And I think I've told you guys, and I don't know if I mentioned on the podcast, but we have those clear plastic file holders on our office doors at work, and mine is a TPS report.
Nice.
Right. So if anybody knows what that TPS report is, it's from Office Space. I'm like, you're one of the cool kids.
Exactly.
I honestly, the Holy Grail did cross my mind, because that is a movie that no matter how bummed out I am or anything else, it's just on.
Yeah.
And it's one I'd love to have in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, honestly, I didn't put as much thought into it as you guys, because this started with a conversation at work. And my buddy, Ronnie Aaron, we've been friends since we were 11 or 12 years old. And Ronnie and I have day and night taste in a lot of things, and we are not friendly about it. We completely break each other's balls. Okay, like he's kind of he probably likes Nickelback, and so he assumes I'm going to hate everything that he likes. And he said, "I'll tell you what my pick would be, but you're going to laugh at me." And I figured it would be, I don't even know what I think. I had no idea what he was about to say, but he said Tombstone.
That's not a bad pick, though.
And I told him, Tombstone is one of those movies I can watch an infinite number of times because that is a perfect movie.
Okay.
It doesn't get any more perfect.
So if you watch my most recent
I was gonna ask.
video, you'll know that I have not seen that movie. Not all the way through. So I've just seen, you see bits and pieces of it just in pop culture. That's how I know the movie. But some of the taglines, have become their own. They've garnered their own place in America.
Wait a minute. Hang on. Tombstone?
Yeah, never seen it.
Why?
I don't know.
I haven't seen your last video.
I just haven't seen it. Just like I said, I also have never seen Young Guns. That's also alluded to.
Totally different.
I've never
totally
seen
different
Young
things.
Guns.
And
Young Guns is not the same.
And one of Jeff's favorite movies, he's in the video, is Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
Yeah.
I've only seen that in bits and pieces, just sections of it here and there. I've never sat down and watched the movie completely from the beginning to the end.
I don't know if I've heard of it.
Okay, well, it is a bit of a cult classic. It's Mickey Rourke and Don Johnson, and it's sort of motorcycle centric in a way, but it's sort of about the buffoonery of a couple of losers who are pals. And anyway, I need to sit down and watch it from beginning to end.
Yeah. It made my list because I loved it when it came out. I saw it in the theaters. I don't know how. Well, actually, I do know how. I remember I went to a SWAT school, and it was a conference. So it's different classes, several going on at a time, and you're in this one for a couple of days or a couple of hours, and then you're in this one, and so you're constantly with different people. And there was this group of guys from one team. It was a pretty big team, and I don't know who it was, larger city, but there was a group of like a dozen dudes. So to compare in size, Midland, we had 3 guys. And these guys, there was probably a dozen that we kept running into. And all these guys did was cut up and bounce Tombstone quotes off of each other. That's it. If they're sitting behind you in an armor school, I'm trying to put, they gave us broken Remington 870s, and we had to diagnose and, suggest repairs. And all it is I'm your Huckleberry. And it's just
Yeah.
really, you're like, this is why they don't give us ammo in these classes. Because I'm so sick of listening. And it's everywhere we went, dude. The push-up competition, they were running their mouths, and constantly. And I could see that, but I can watch that movie and never get tired of it because it's so well done. It's such a well-made movie.
All right, I guess I'm going to go home and watch it tonight before I go to bed after
Yeah,
I get back from the
I'm gonna
prayer.
end up watching that.
Yeah. I miss the golden age of westerns. Good, bad, and the ugly, and all that. I was there. It wasn't my pocket. It wasn't, the age of the spaghetti westerns and all like that. I wasn't a Cowboys and Indians kid. I was right on the tail end of that. It's like my older brother and all that. That was their thing. But Tombstone, that got me. And the historical accuracy compared to most is there. And the attention to detail, and it's one of those where every character, every actor in there drove a home run. It's like there's nobody miscast, there's nobody that just wasn't quite right for that part. There's everything.
Okay, I'm going home to watch it tonight.
Did you ever watch Deadwood?
Yes.
What'd you think of that one?
The series?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, man, I lived and breathed that
Yeah.
series.
It was funny. All I remembered about it, I didn't have HBO at the time, and I was working really weird hours. I wasn't watching anything. I went a period of like 12 years that I barely saw a movie. The reason I went back and watched it, an article came up about the profanity in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I read it, and the guys the people who wrote the dialogue for that were trying to
Modernize.
they tried to do it using going back to literature
and they couldn't do it.
that was rotted milk. It's gone. It's
it
gone
looks.
back into
I can see rotted
Yeah.
milk in your eyes.
Oh,
yeah,
that was awful.
Yeah, what they were trying to do is they originally wrote those scripts with the slang,
Right.
with the negative slang.
And the dirtiest word was tarnation.
Yeah, it was stuff
Yeah.
like gall darn and tarnation and that sort of thing. And they realized that it was going to be a distraction to put that language in the script.
It made it sound cheesy,
Right.
and they said the mentality and just the general terribleness of the people who spoke like that.
Yeah.
They're the kind, that kind of language that gets you kicked out of a restaurant. That's what they wanted, because those are the kind of people that this was just every day.
So it was tons and tons of F word, tons and tons of C word.
Yeah, and but anyway, that article came out, and I thought, okay, that's an interesting device, and I all I remembered was people hating on it, and then I went back and watched it when I was, I think it started when I was in the hospital. It was really.
There were rumors about a year ago that they were going to make a one-time Deadwood movie that was supposed to be like 12 or 13 years later.
They did it.
They did.
They did it?
Yeah,
It's out?
It's out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another thing for me to watch.
I didn't know about that article and about the language shift and everything for that. They did something similar in The Great Gatsby, the one that came out a couple of years ago, the Baz Luhrmann one, where the music from the 20s they took out and replaced it with a lot of hip hop and R&B and things like that, just because they said that kids today aren't gonna look at 20s music and think, oh, that's cool, that's hip, that's where it's at. I'm just, showing my age
It's
there.
hard. It's hard to imagine that being hip.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine how shocking Elvis Presley was.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine how shocking the Charleston was in the 1920s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was, if you look at that now, and kids today look at that and they think, that's the dumbest, most pointless nothing I've ever seen.
That was like grinding.
And it was like
20s.
grinding, yeah. It was like twerking back then. It was worse than twerking back then. So, it's kind of funny how we move generation to generation into these major cultural shifts.
Speaking of callbacks, Mike and I we talked about this right before you got here. For fans of Rocko's Modern Life,
Yeah.
Rocko's Modern Life was a cartoon from the mid-90s, and it caught two generations. So it was a children's cartoon on Nickelodeon after-school thing. So people in their, I guess, late 20s would...
My generation.
Yeah, your generation would have been the kids watching it. And I was one of the parents watching it when my son would come home from school, and he had some friends come over and play, because I didn't get off. I got off work earlier than most parents because of my shift. So these other kids would come in. And the writers snuck in things for the parents. They snuck in little dirty things and little innuendos that the kids didn't catch.
Yeah.
So
then SpongeBob picked up where Rocco left off.
And recently on Reddit, there were some guys with the rehashing. They did an AMA and they said, why did you do that or whatever? And they said, nobody was watching this. We just did it. Nobody cared. Yeah. The producers weren't watching it. They're counting money and watching ratings. So they snuck in Spank the Monkey and Deliverance stuff and all this kind of. They have a game called Spank the Monkey, and they never say the name. It's just Choky Chicken, the restaurant, and all kinds of stuff like that. But anyway, they just did a 45-minute Netflix original, or is it Amazon?
It's Netflix.
Netflix original, 45 minutes long, where they're catapulted into modern day, like time warp, and they hit all the technology and social hot buttons in that style, and it's still a cartoon with innuendo snuck into it, like nobody's paying attention. And at the beginning of it, there's all the rubble from the 90s passing through, and the Spank the Monkey game board is tumbling through space. So, it's a little game board with a little monkey and little ping pong paddles.
That's cool.
Well, guys, I'm still tasting that horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Band-Aid taste keeps coming back.
Oi.
Yeah. It was like chewing on an inner tube. So this stuff can go to hell.
Yep.
Desert Door.
Kill it.
Yeah, that's a thing that should not be.
Council has judged you.
Oh,
Right on.
and no matter how bad you think it was, it's all
It ruined this beer, man.
yeah. Mine's tasting funny. I don't know what to do.
So what are you gonna do? Just got to suffer through the rest of it. Maybe the taste will be gone by morning.
Indeed.
That's what she said. All right, boys. Cheers. Good times. See you guys next time.